Hey folks, welcome back to Only Best Fantasy Novels. My name is Robin, and today we're here to talk about the latest Witcher book, Crossroads of Ravens by Andrzej Sapkowski. And this is essentially Witcher Year 1. We follow Geralt fresh out of Kaer Morhen. He's entered a mentorship of mutual benefit, so it seems at least, and he's learning the ropes in a practical sense of what it means to be a Witcher, and all the highs and all the lows that come with it. And that's, in a nutshell, what this book is about. Like, we literally follow him on a series of adventures as he gets embroiled in some pretty interesting scenarios, to a sequence of interesting scenarios in his first year. And we see we see Geralt grow. We see him learn in this book what it means to be a Witcher in multiple senses. We see him learn in the practical sense of what it means to be a Witcher in terms of how he should, what his services should mean, when and when he shouldn't step in, guided by his own morality, dealing with monsters that to this day have been theoretical, which you would have learned in the series, or a little more practically in terms of the people that he has to deal with, because one of the things that he is confronted with is the stigma surrounding witches, and that kind of thing. And we see him learn what it means to be a witch in this world. Needed to deal with the things that go bump in the night, but despised for it. And we follow him on, well, I hesitate to call it an emotional journey, because it's not something that we get much of his feelings surrounding, but we do see him go through a sequence of events as he goes on different adventures. He deals with different threats and these kind of things, and we see him confronted with the different scenarios that the Witcher can face when a contract is reneged on, and when a contract does go through, and when some situations play out in a way that they meet the terms of the agreement, but morally they're against his, like, internal compass, these kind of things, like different scenarios that are essentially like almost like defining moments for a Witcher. And that's effectively what happens over the course of this book in a sequence of events. Like, Geralt is confronted with a sequence of learning moments that will go on to define who he is as not just who he is as a Witcher and how he operates as a Witcher, but who he is as a person and how he will act in certain scenarios. And laced throughout the book, aside from this sequence of events, is a mystery. And this was, for me personally, this was one of the biggest hooks of the series. There is a mystery surrounding a certain event that happened in the past that affected, like, the witches as a group to this day, and over the course of his journey in this first year, like, we see him inch closer and dive deeper into this mystery, trying to find out what was it, and dealing with the consequences of it, and this kind of stuff. I just know I said that it wasn't necessarily an emotional journey for him, but I am wrong in that regard. There are some emotional moments in this book that he's forced to deal with. And they're complicated. They're complicated situations. They're complex scenarios. They're not simple. They're not easy things to deal with. And we see him, like, throughout all of this. We see him grow. We see him change. We see him. We see that core of. We see that hero essentially in him begin to outshine in the choices that he makes in those moments. So I think this was the book that most Witcher fans expected when they picked up the first Witcher novel. Chronologically, it's certainly the first in the series, and it was just a fun reading experience. Like, it delivers everything we want when we pick up a Witcher book. It's got some interesting monsters. It's got some complicated scenarios. It's got an interesting series of adventures. The monsters in here are half mythical, half human. And through it all, we have Geralt navigating these scenarios and coming up with some interesting solutions to problems faced. So, like, it was a fun read. It was honestly, I think for me this might be one of the more fun Witcher novels, and like. I say the Witcher series is one of my favorite series because there are many, I can think of many moments in it that like I really enjoyed, but as a series as a whole, it doesn't quite. I just consider it like above average at best, and I've since learned that it's because of it's essentially a translation issue. Like the reason why Polish fans are so hardcore about this series, whereas the English fans read it and wonder what the hype is about, or tend to wonder what the hype is about, is largely due to a translation issue. Not in a technical sense, in the sense that a lot of the things in these books that resonate with Polish people, with Polish culture and that kind of thing, they don't translate well to the Western world. Or they don't have the same significance or the same impact in the West. So since then, I've become quite a bit more forgiving where it comes to this series, because like it's not my fault. I don't have the ability to enjoy it, and it's that one, I'm not the target audience specifically, or I don't have the ability to enjoy it in its original sense, in its original language. And even setting aside that particular issue, like these books are relatively fun. And personally, I think Crossroads of Ravens might be one of my favorite in the series, for sure. Just because of like everything that it does and how it does it. Like I said, it's a pretty interesting journey to follow Geralt on, which in year one, effectively. And just to see him grow, deal with these scenarios, and the scenarios themselves are also pretty interesting because they run the gamut of what a Witcher can face, given their particular status in the world, and he deals with everything from some pretty horrible monsters to some pretty horrible humans, and the power that they can leverage and that kind of thing. The more in the drama that comes in the more political side of being a Witcher. So it was a fun book overall. The more I think about it, the more I have to say, yes, this is probably going to go down as one of my favorites in the series, for sure. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about Crossroads of Ravens. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.